Hey, what is up guys, this is Sleet, and in this fun run video I'm running the Aspect of Zagreus on the Twin Fists with the goal of maximizing dodge chance and move speed. And for that we are of course going to equip Hermes' keepsake, the Lambent Plume, which gives you plus 1.2% dodge chance and move speed each time you clear an encounter quickly. I don't know the precise time limit that qualifies as quickly, but I do know it is a sliding scale with a shorter time limit in earlier biomes and longer limits in later biomes for mini bosses and bosses. You'll know you got it if you see and hear this at the end of each room. For the Pact of Punishment, I like to keep it interesting for you guys and for myself by taking extreme measures for and at least some forced overtime. Tight deadline is pretty much free heat as well. I also like to keep it above 15 heat so that I have the option to take air biscuits if I really want them.
Let's get to work.
Before we start this run, let me tell you which boons I would ideally like to get for Zagfists. I want Zeus on my attack and other lightning enhancing boons. I want Artemis for her pressure points, support fire, or other crit enhancing boons. I want Athena for her divine dash, of course, or Poseidon as a secondary. And I want either Aphrodite or Demeter on my special so that I can proc privilege status from the mirror for that plus 40% damage bonus. Unsurprisingly, I don't get all of the boons that I want, but I get most of them, which is pretty great considering that I cannot equip god-specific keepsakes to have better control of my boon selection. Unexpectedly, however, I do get some stellar Hermes boons, which you'll see later. A good tip for evading your enemies, especially for the Twin Fists and especially for the big guys that are armored and can't get staggered. You want to dash through them and start hitting their backside. You're certainly a lot safer there, and on top of that, you get your backstab bonuses. So definitely try to take advantage of those maneuvers.
Hi, Aphrodite.
Oh, dearest.
Rooms like this is where the lightning fists really shine. You can take out multiple enemies in each of your combinations. Just make sure you're light on your feet and you're moving around, especially because of those big guys. As far as the hammers presented here, Heavy Knuckle will be a terrible choice, especially with lightning on the fists, as it actually slows down your attack sequence. And then Explosive Upper is actually tempting because that way I can apply weak to multiple enemies at once. But I instead go with the Rush Kick because I want to use my special to be able to close the gap, be able to get closer to my enemies more quickly this way. You see here I also chose the shop so I can avoid Ares, but as you see here, yeah, Ares could not be avoided unfortunately this run. I don't want Ares on any of my primary slots, so I try to avoid those. I end up going with Curse of Vengeance here, although I don't plan on getting hit, right? So it's not the best boon, unfortunately.
Should come in useful.
To be forward, I was actually trying to go for a plus 100% dodge run this particular run, but as I roll here, I'm not getting the dodge boon that I want. Keep rolling for one more, but instead I get the 100% rush delivery, which you know what, is actually pretty worth. And because Lambent Plume not only increases your dodge chance and increases your movement speed, I decided to flip my run here a little bit and go for a move speed damage bonus run instead.
Hello, Fury Sisters.
As you know, at the end of Tartarus, you get to fight one of the three sisters. I actually like Meg the least. I think her move set makes it more difficult for, say, speed runs, for example, and also, I think, harder to dodge for me. But one nice thing about the fists and other weapons that have high attack speed, you can actually go ahead and attack your way through her projectiles. Your attacks will actually destroy those projectiles. Even better, if you have some sort of deflect ability, you can cause a huge amount of damage back to Meg.
Can't be.
See you back home. Mine. Sulfur smell.
Now, witches are probably my least favorite enemies in the game, especially if they have the right benefits packages. For example, the homing projectiles and attack speed buff. Those just can wreck a game, and that is probably why I advocate most highly for Divine Dash, especially for higher heat.
Stronger.
By the way, it's normally hyper sprint then rush delivery, just because some move speed is a requirement to be offered rush delivery. But since I have Lambent Plume, that's why I was able to get the rush delivery first. And now I have hyper sprint, and now I have the combination that I've always been advocating for, the hyper sprint plus rush delivery combo. Now today's run is all about maximizing that move speed and rush delivery damage.
Time to go. Come on. Thank the fates.
So here's how I usually decide between the three gifts that Eurydice provides. I take Ambrosia if I have a few boons and I want those boons to have higher rarity, especially if heroic rarity is on the table. I take Palm if I have several boons that I want upgraded, especially boons that scale the same or better with Palms, especially with the first 2 or 3 Palms. Finally, I take Nectar as a consolation if the other two don't make sense, or if there are upcoming boons for which I would want higher rarity, like legendary and duo boons.
I know you missed me, Lernie, and I missed you too.
So here you'll see me doing a lot more damage than you typically see with this combination of boons, just because you see privilege status as well as the rush delivery combination doing a lot of work here. So that's why this seems a lot more OP than it actually is, but yeah, gives you a reason to chase after these Hermes Boons, right?
You and me sat hide your head. Back to wherever your neck went. Elysium.
Alright, hammer and money, pretty easy choice here. I'm kind of regretting not getting the other hammer instead of rush kick so that I could apply the AoE weak on these enemies since they're all bunched up anyways. Also, I'm not a big fan of these shielded guys just because they block all of the lightning shards there, so that you have to dedicate time specifically to go attack that guy from behind. Here I got Long Knuckle Hammer, which is actually one of my favorites for this build, and that's because when you're dashing around doing the dash maneuvering, sometimes the enemy is out of range. Long Knuckle really helps make sure your hits connect, even with your dashing around like a butterfly.
Oh, hi.
Aw man, I was hoping for the butterfly mini-boss instead. Here I got Extreme Measures 3 Asterius, which is I think the hardest mini-boss in the game. His moveset is actually much more difficult to dodge than normal Asterius, so just be very cautious about his attacks. Just memorize that he does most things in threes, and he does that big wind up before he spins. Just make sure to use each of those windows of opportunities to your advantage and get behind him as much as you can.
Stand down. I concede.
Well fought, Asterius. You like that, you gods?
A challenger.
On the brighter side though, a viewer made a valuable observation that if you take on Asterius as the mini-boss, he actually starts off with slightly less health in the actual boss battle. I think it's about 80% health, which is nice because he is a tough nut to crack, especially with EM3 activated. So the conventional wisdom is always to take out Asterius first, and that still applies with EM3. He is the more dangerous of the two, but when he's doing that spin move and you have only melee attacks really, then you can concentrate on Theseus, especially just kind of bring him down to slightly above half health before he transforms, because that's when all the god assisted stuff comes up, erupts from the ground. And then once you take out Asterius, you can wail on Theseus as much as you want.
Finally.
So here I'm actually going to go through each of the 5 passageways on purpose to maximize my Lambent Plume. Notably, each passage has 5 chambers, but each passageway counts as 1 encounter for the purposes of Lambent Plume. So you don't actually get 25 increases to Lambent Plume, you only get 5 maximum. It's a little strange, but I guess if you have it, I guess then it'd be a little bit too OP. Also, I took the mini boss room first because of several reasons. First, the mini bosses are typically much more easily disposed of than regular rooms. The regular rooms, you have to wait for the enemies to spawn and such, so the mini bosses are just a lot easier to take out, which is especially great if you're doing speed running or if you're running against a tight deadline. Second, you also get a doubly potent item, so that's either double palm or double health, more money, or higher rarity for your boons. So for those reasons, you definitely want to go with a mini boss room first. And if you don't know how the RNG works is for these chambers, the earliest you can see a sack is on your second set of chambers. After your first one, it's purely random. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no tells or anything either, so don't even try to think about that. It's just pure RNG. That's another reason why you want to take the mini boss rooms anyway, just again because of the time savings and the greater benefit that you receive. So here's the other mini boss room and the laser guy. I totally could have megged here. I wasn't keeping track of how many meg charges I had. I thought I only had one, and I just wanted to make sure I had one left for Hades, so that's why I kind of just went at it. But as you can see, it's quite easy to take down, especially with the damage I'm outputting. Now that I have enough cash, I visit the shop for my third Hermes Boons, which is kind of rare. And lo and behold, I get more move speed, adding to my rush delivery damage bonus. So that is perfect for me. I now have, I think 160 move speed now, which translates to plus 160% damage boost, global damage boost, every time I dash.
Have a look here. Father.
So this is extreme measures for Hades, and he is just overall much more powerful than without extreme measures. All of his movesets are more powerful, they hurt more, he does more attack patterns, he summons more difficult minions in his first wave, and he has 3 waves. So yeah, it's quite a big difficulty differential. But it is definitely much more challenging once you're able to get a good handle of his non-extreme version. So make sure you do give yourself a challenge. But with that said, his attack patterns are still fairly predictable. For example, when he does his circular swipe, he will do it twice. And when he shoots out his cast, he will cast 3 times. In the second phase, he has his invulnerability right at the midpoint, and right at the midpoint is when he's going to start healing himself. And when he gets to about 30% health or so, or just right after his healing, he'll probably summon Cerberus. And as in my previous video, I realized that you can actually skip Cerberus if you do enough damage to get him down to 0. And then he finally has a third phase where everything becomes dark. His attack patterns are almost exactly the same as his second phase, except that he doesn't have an invulnerability phase. So you can just continue to wail on him as much as you want. And he'll heal whenever he feels like it, maybe once every 30 seconds.
I shall keep coming back, the same as you. Again, you.
There.
So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that little thing with plus 160% rush delivery. I wanted it to be a 100% dodge run, but it turned out to be something else, and the damage output was quite satisfying. And if you guys end up trying this run, let me know in the comments how much move speed you were able to get in your run. Did you get more than 160? Let me know. Alright guys, I think that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys in the next one.